We have Kevin in Canada. Pronouns are he, him, who's willing to talk about any aspects of Christianity we want. Wow. Awesome, Kevin. How are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad.
Hello? Hello? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello? Hey, hello.
Hi.
Oh, come on. Hello?
Well, goodbye.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear us, Kevin?
Yeah, I can hear you. Where's this?
Can you hear me?
Oh, wait. I muted him. I'm unmuting it. You can hear us. Where's the what?
Hell, where's the what?
Kevin, you're live on the air. Either start talking about stuff or we're going to have to move on.
Oh, what do you want to talk about? I thought you're the one with all the arguments.
Well, no. You're the one who believes stuff. So you're calling in to tell us what you believe and why.
I believe in God because I think it's clear how this world is intelligently designed. And, yeah, so if there's a God that exists, and there's so many scientists like Albert Einstein, you know, all his quotes about how he believed in God. There's a lot of scientists I could quote off right now if you like, that believe in God. That there's tons of existence, or tons of proof that God exists based on their findings that it's intelligently designed makes sense to a lot of scientists. So if God exists, then, you know, he's like a computer programmer that doesn't have to log in. You know, he can alter this world however he wants, right? Just like a computer programmer. So, you know, then we can't understand how Jesus could be resurrected and perform all these miracles. Well, that's how you understand it. I mean, it all boils down to faith and what you choose to believe in, right? Like either you're going to choose YOLO, you only live once and live for yourself and go that direction, or you're going to live for God and hope for a life after with him.
Oh, okay. So there was a lot of content in there.
Go ahead.
The first thing, so the first thing that you brought up was that other people who you are saying are smart believe in God, and that's kind of irrelevant to me because you can be smart in one aspect and have a false belief. So that's not actually proof of anything. That's just saying that smart people also believe a thing that I believe. So I'm gonna brush past that. And then you said that you thought that the world was intelligently designed and that was apparent and obvious. I would counter that almost immediately because there's so many things about just biology that aren't intelligent. If something is intelligently designed, it would be the least complex possible. And a lot of things about how a multitude of systems work biologically, even just looking at humans, are incredibly inefficient and poorly designed. And then you ended by saying it's just a matter of faith, which would be counterintuitive to saying that it's apparent. So I think you're a little bit all over the place.
It's one thing to say there's a bunch of smart people who believe this, but that's a problem because there's a bunch of smart people who don't believe it. As a matter of fact, the over 90 some odd % of the National Academy of Sciences don't believe in a personal God, and Einstein didn't either. He believed in Spinoza's God, which is almost a metaphorical God about order in the universe and not an actual agent at all. And so, but citing the fact that smart people believe something is not evidence for it. And Shannon's exactly right. When you get to the end and you say it's just a matter of faith, well, now you're basically saying that you don't have evidence and you don't have good reason, because faith is the excuse people give for believing something when they don't have a good reason. If you believe something and you have a good reason, and I say, why do you believe this? Then you give me the good reason. You don't say, oh, well, it's a matter of faith.
It's a multitude of reasons. Like neither of us can prove anything. You can't prove he doesn't exist. I can't prove he does exist.
I can prove things.
Okay. Then you just admitted that you believe something that you can't demonstrate, which makes you irrational.
Well, so are you being irrational as well then, right?
No, sir, I'm not. No, because I am not convinced that a God exists. So in the same way that I'm not convinced that Bigfoot exists or the Loch Ness Monster exists, I'm not convinced that a God exists. That doesn't make me irrational. I am not convinced that your claims are true. It doesn't matter. That just because I can't prove there is no God doesn't mean you get a pass.
I also think it's definitionally incoherent, and then so logic would disprove it.
Yeah, choosing to rely on your own will and your own understanding from just your own experience of life doesn't.
That's not what I just said, though. That's not what either of us just said. So you're not actually addressing the points we're making. You're giving us points in your head and then talking about those points. So what I just said was that Matt said he doesn't believe, and so like there's nothing to disprove. He's the same way he doesn't believe in the tooth fairy, and I have a slightly different position, which is that any definition that you give for the Christian God specifically is logically incoherent. So it's easy to disprove using logic, which means that it can be disproved. And the onus would be on you to demonstrate to me why it's not logically incoherent, and you would have to start by giving a definition, I would suppose.
Every philosopher.
Yeah. So which God do you believe in? Which just define the God that you believe in, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I believe in Jesus. Every philosopher and every historian will agree that Jesus existed. He was a genius.
That's
no, they don't.
No, they don't.
Well, it's universally.
Sure. The majority would definitely say that Jesus existed, but the historicity of a person is irrelevant to whether or not they're a God. What evidence do you have that Jesus was a God?
That I can feel it in my spirit, in my soul. I know that.
That's not evidence.
That's not evidence. It's all right. It's evidence for you, perhaps, but it's not evidence for anybody else. If you were to ask me, why do I think gravity's real, and I were to say I can feel it in my soul, that would be a bullshit answer that would get me laughed off of any show. Why should we continue listening to you?
Well, there's lots of points. There's lots of ways of explaining every aspect of Christianity.
Kevin, why won't you answer the question that's put in front of you? When I say, why should we continue listening to you? And you just say there's lots of points. You've made several points and we've offered counters and rebuttals to them. You've acknowledged none of them. And at this point, I'm having a hard time believing that you're a genuine interlocutor for this at all.
It just comes down to what you choose to believe in yourself, or you can believe in.
No, sir. I'm sorry, but you don't choose your beliefs. You're either convinced or you're not. It's not about choosing your belief. And because so at this point, Kevin, I'm going to let you go because I don't think that you're for real, because you have literally used buzzword after buzzword after tired old. I mean, it's like you've never looked into this, never thought about it, don't know what you're talking about. Or you're an atheist who decided, let me say the dumbest things possible that Matt and Shannon have rebutted 100,000 times. And let me ignore the questions that are being asked in order to just say there's a bunch of reasons to believe in Jesus.
A little more effort in developing a topic for next week then, if you like. I mean, you guys go straight to the point of...
No, it's not if we like, though, Kevin. Like it sounds to me, let's give you the benefit of the doubt and say that you are a theist. It sounds like you actually haven't explored why you are, aside from you have a feeling. So why don't you take the time, and not just for us, but for yourself, go and explore why it is you believe what you believe outside, or why there's good reasons to believe what you believe outside of a feeling or faith. And then if you find one, call back. I'd love to hear about it.
I'll let you know. I'll research your points. I'll talk to you next week.
All right.
Maybe.
Bye.
Bye.
I appreciate the fact that somebody like Kevin, we'll just give Kevin the benefit of the doubt and say that he believes. And I appreciate the fact that despite his clear naivete on the subject, he at least was willing to call in and present something. And so one thing to take away from this is that if you're a theist and you were embarrassed by Kevin, why haven't you called to do a better job? I will get emails. We'll get emails at tv@atheist-community.org with people saying, oh, why do you only let the stupid theists through? Or why only the people with the worst arguments? We don't evaluate. The call screeners aren't sitting there going, hey, that's a really good argument. We're not going to let you through. That has never happened in the history of the show.
And we can see them. We can see the call screeners talking.
It's absolutely hilarious to think that we're somehow not letting through the good ones. And Kevin could come back next week with incredibly well formulated arguments and a much better understanding. I think it's unlikely in the span of a week that he'll truly, come up with a good reason for why he believes. But at least maybe the conversation will be able to move a little further.